Hey everybody, welcome back to World History with Mr. Finn. We back on the map. I found a perfect map for us today. This is the Mediterranean Sea. We have seen the Mediterranean Sea on our big world map, but this gets us even closer. We have a lot to go over because we're going to do the Punic Wars today. But quickly, if we go all the way back to the beginning of class, we had the Tigris and the Euphrates. Those rivers are here. This is on the eastern side of the Mediterranean. We went way the other direction after that. But then we came back to the Mediterranean area and we did Greece. And you can even now get very close and see where Greece is. There's Athens right here, still in existence today on our map. But this is the Greek peninsula, and you can see all these little islands. If you remember, we were talking about the archipelago and how all these different polis were all over these different islands and everything like that. And so this is where Greece was. And we said that Greece was important because it developed Western civilization. And they went all around the Mediterranean and set up colonies all over. And so they did. And one of those colonies was on the Italian peninsula. Here is the Italian peninsula that we've been talking about. And there is Rome right there. Rome is still in existence today. The city is still there. It is not the civilization that we are talking about now as far as ancient Rome, but that is still the city of Rome. Where the city of Rome was, that is the Italian peninsula. And you all looked at the Punic Wars so you could get an idea about what we're talking about today. And that is going to be with Carthage. Carthage no longer exists. We're going to talk about Carthage in a second. But you can see right now that the Mediterranean Sea is going to encompass a lot of Europe. This is Africa down here. Carthage is on the northern coast of Africa. So in this area is exactly where Carthage is going to be. And you can see it's not far from Rome. It's just on the other side, right here. And so the entire Mediterranean is going to involve the Middle East as well. And so the Mediterranean is this kind of crossroads between all these different continents. So today we are going to start off in Sicily. So when I say Sicily, it's this island. They always say this. Sicily looks like, Italian peninsula looks like a boot, and Sicily looks like a rock that it's kicking. And so Sicily is going to be the start of our Punic Wars with Carthage. So it's going to be Rome versus Carthage, which is right here. And both are very similar at this point in time in 264 BC. But we'll get to our notes now about the Punic Wars. Keep this in mind too when I do talk about, I'll just tell you now, Hannibal. Hannibal is going to go this route. He's going to go from Carthage into what is modern day Spain, into France. And these are the Alps. The Alps are a mountain range. And he is going to go into this area to try and come into Italy. So when I do talk about Hannibal, understand that he's going to come around this way to attack Italy. But first, we have to get to the beginning of the Punic Wars. So we're going to go on our trip. Let me get the cord out of the way so you guys stay right here, and let's get started on this. All right, here we go. I got my cord. There we go. We are good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Let me get this off of this and this off of this. All right. Punic Wars. Let's do it. All right. 264 BC. This is where we were. Rome has established itself as a power. Carthage is a power as well. Let's do this so you have it in your notes. Punic Wars. We do have a lot. There are going to be 3 Punic Wars. So I'm going to even put this 3 Punic Wars, and it's going to be, as we know, Rome versus Carthage. Rome versus Carthage are the Punic Wars. The winner of this will determine who is going to be the power in the Mediterranean Sea. And so we have Rome versus Carthage beginning in 264. It's going to start with Sicily, that little island that we just looked at. That is where it begins. There's a conflict over Sicily. Rome didn't like Carthage being around there. Carthage viewed Sicily as part of their empire. So when Rome goes to Sicily and walks onto that island, Carthage sees it as an act of war. Now, let's get into this first Punic War. So what happens? Carthage is going to be amazing at sailing. They're going to have a lot of ships, that their navy's strong, and Rome is an army power. So it's similar to, if you remember back, Athens and Sparta that we talked about, where one had a good army, one had a good navy. Well, in this case, Rome has the army. Carthage has the navy. And so as this begins, things are not looking good for Rome. Carthage is pounding them. Roman ships were not great. But the Romans are really smart at one thing, and that's called engineering, meaning they're like building and figuring out how things work. And they get really lucky in a weird thing. This is not, I don't even think this is in the textbook, but I'll just tell you what happens. Basically, a Carthaginian warship washes up on the shore of the Italian peninsula, and the Romans go, hey, look at this Carthaginian warship. So what they do is called reverse engineer that ship. So the Romans look at it and they go, all right, so how is this ship built? What pieces go into it? How can we, copy it? So they figure out how it is built by taking it apart. And then they go, all right, we know how to make ships that are just as strong as the Carthaginian ships now, because we've reversed engineered this ship. So then what the Romans do, in pure Roman fashion, this is something we will see over and over and over again, they take their idea, but then they build like hundreds of these ships. They're like, all right, we know how to do it. All right, let's build 1,000,000 of them. Let's just build and build and build and build and build. So they build just a ton of these ships, but they add something that is important to the ship. It's called a corvus. Basically, I'll draw a ship here. I'll draw a ship here. As we know, the Romans had a better army, Carthage had a better navy. So the Romans said, how can we fight them like it's on land, but fight them on water? Odd question, right? A corvus is basically it's a piece of wood that has a long spike at the end. And it's tied to the mast of the ship. And when they get close to we'll do this, Roman, Carthage. And when the Romans get close to a Carthaginian ship, this comes down and it sticks with the spike into this ship. And so what we have now is this, I'll make it so it's absolutely correct. We now have this corvus that has fallen down, and we have it's jammed in here. And what happens is the Romans, my stick figure Romans, there they go, they run over to that ship. They're like, perfect. We had this big, long piece of wood with a spike. Boom, drop it into the Carthaginian ship. It is a plank. They all run across it, and now they're fighting hand to hand like they would be on land. So they take the Carthaginian ship, they add this corvus, and then the Romans now can fight the Carthaginians just like they would on land, only now they could be out in the middle of the Mediterranean. This is going to allow Rome to win the first Punic War. Remember, we have 3 of these, so we're going to go through them quick. I don't want it to be a 28-minute video, but let's get through these Punic Wars. So Rome wins the first Punic War because of this lucky break, finding this Carthaginian warship. All right, this is going to make somebody that I mentioned before really upset. Hannibal. Let's take a look at Hannibal. Hannibal is a Carthaginian. For our definition, because I'll probably ask you this on a quiz. Carthaginian general. He is going to be one of our top 5 generals of all time. He's kind of like Alexander the Great. He was one of the best ones. Hannibal's one of the best ones. Hannibal is so upset after the First Punic War that he takes a blood oath, and he's like, I swear I'll never rest until I destroy Rome and I burn it to the ground. And so Hannibal, this fantastic general from Carthage, makes it his life goal to get back at Rome, because Rome has taken Sicily. Carthage had to pay a fine, but Carthage was still there. So the second Punic War is going to be about Hannibal. And as I showed you on our map, Hannibal's going to go around that Spain area in France, and he's going to come into the north of the Italian peninsula. One of his big claims to fame, something that if you don't know anything about Hannibal, people always remember this. He had elephants in his army. People always remember that. Hannibal had elephants, battle elephants, in his army. So he had these huge elephants, and he was like, listen, we'll have elephants that'll just run. People will ride on the back of them, and they'll take out the Romans. It was, I mean, it's not the first time we see battle elephants, but it is, kind of an odd thing. So Hannibal takes his army. They go up into Rome. Rome's like, uh-oh, we know he's coming. It's not a surprise. So we'll go up to the north of Italy, and we'll meet him head on, and we'll take him on. And so this is what happens at that battle. Cani, which is not important for you guys to know, because I'm not going to ask you about the name of the battle, but it is the Battle of Cani. Here is basically what happens. This is Hannibal. This is the Romans. There's our lines of people lined up against each other at this Battle of Cani at the north of Italy. And so what happens is the Romans are going to start to attack. And this is where we look at some of battle tactics, but we won't get too much into it. But I'll just explain this. Hannibal basically says this. All right, guys that are sitting in the middle, when they attack us, turn around and run. But you guys on the outsides, just stay cool. Just stay right where you're at. And so as the Romans attack, the people in the middle, let me get rid of Hannibal. And I'll change the middle. The people in the middle turn around and run, just like he said, which turns into basically a groove. And the Romans are like, oh, look, they're running away. They're scared. And they all start funneling into this area, chasing them down. They're going to get these Carthaginians. They're going to get Hannibal. Look at them. They're running. And so as they get running into this area, Hannibal gives the signal. Let me get now rid of our original line and the Romans. And so as they all run into here, Hannibal says, all right, guys on the outside, time for you to come on around. Let's come around, and they surround the Roman army, which is the terrible position to be in if you're the Roman army. In fact, they lose their entire army. The Romans lose their entire army. It gets crushed. So as Hannibal has circled the Roman troops, all the Romans are in here, and now they're all, as we have in our class, our unhappy, X'd out face. They're gone. Wiped out the entire Roman army. And this is bad news for Rome, because now there's no one to defend Rome from Hannibal. So it looks like Hannibal's going to be able to get to Rome and do what he said he wanted to do, which is burn Rome to the ground. So he gets to Rome, but there's one problem. Roman walls. It was a walled city. There was walls all the way around Rome. You need what is called siege equipment, which you don't need to know that for any quizzes or anything, but siege equipment is army weapons and such that can knock down walls, and you can defeat a city that way. And Hannibal didn't have that. He just had his men and his battle elephants and all of this stuff. And so he's there. He can't actually defeat the city of Rome. But he is allowed, because Rome does not have an army, to just stay in the Italian peninsula for years. For years and years and years. He's attacking random Roman towns. He's trying to get allies from people who are like, hey, I'm a Roman citizen. We're controlled by Rome, but we're cool with you. We're cool with you, Hannibal. It's everything's fine. I'll be on your side. Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And so he is just causing major damage to the brand of Rome. He's just in Italy, destroying towns, getting allies that were once Roman allies. He's really causing a lot of damage. How do we get him out? How do we get Hannibal out of the Italian peninsula? We don't have an army. We have a small army that we've just slowly been able to recover over years. Hannibal has been in Italy for years. And so the Romans have a really genius idea to get Hannibal out. They can't beat him. They know they cannot beat him. They cannot go out there. It would be bad news. But what they decide to do, I can leave Rome in here. The Roman army goes somewhere. Take a guess where they go. If you guessed Carthage, then you are right. They are actually going to attack Carthage. Why would they go and attack Carthage? Real smart here. If they go and attack Carthage, who has to leave Italy to go back to defend Carthage? You're right. Hannibal has to leave the Italian peninsula to go back to defend his city. In this battle, the Romans will win, and Carthage will lose in that battle at Carthage, as Hannibal's trying to get back to Carthage to fight. Hannibal ends up running from this because they were, the Romans for years had hated Hannibal, obviously, and they wanted him. And he's like, hey, I need to get out of here, regroup, and bring my troops back and do whatever I can. But the important thing is that puts an end to the Second Punic War. And Carthage is pretty much weak at this point. It's lost most of its holdings and land and everything like that. But 50 years later, the Romans had been urging people. They were like, we really don't like Carthage. We don't want them out there. We just don't trust them. We've had 2 wars with them. I don't like it. We need to go and finish them off. And so what happens is the Romans, in the end, in the Third Punic War, are going to go to Carthage. And what they do to Carthage is another very Roman thing. Carthage. The Romans get there. They attack Carthage. They defeat the city. Just to give you a little bit of background information, Hannibal actually, instead of getting captured by the Romans, he takes his own life because he says, hey, I'm not going to let the Romans get me and make me an example out of me. So Hannibal, just for back to the Second Punic War, is going to end up taking his own life because he does not want to be captured by the Romans. So the third one and the final one is not good for Carthage. In fact, I want to make sure I get all of the things that happens here. The Third Punic War, for 10 days, Carthage, this is what happens to it. That's how many days it was. For 10 days, Romans take apart the city. All right. So this is the way Romans think. The Romans go there, they say, hey, dismantle the whole city. Block by block. Take every piece of stone, every building, scatter it in the desert, get rid of it, dismantle the entire city. All the people living here, put all of the people living here, sell them into slavery. On top of that, we are going to poison the ground, the earth, so that nothing will ever grow here and so that no one can ever live here. This is the amount of hate that Rome had for Carthage. Literally erased it from the map. Dismantled the city. It was just random stones out in the desert. All the people had been sold into slavery all over the Mediterranean. They had poisoned the ground. Think about that. They didn't want anyone to ever live there again. They said, we're going to erase this by poisoning the ground so nothing will grow here. That is Rome in the way that they deal with people who stand up to them. So Rome is this different animal where it's like, if you do everything that they ask you to do, they're totally cool. Own religion, cool. Own language, cool. Own culture, cool. Just do what we say. Pay your taxes and be part of our empire, and you're fine. But if you stand up to Rome and say, I don't want to do that, well, take a look at what happened to Carthage. That is the way that they deal with people who stand up to them. They completely obliterate them. So, that is a lot of notes. Turn those notes into me. I was going to do a little bit of a quiz. We'll do a quiz next time because there was a lot there about these Punic Wars. But the important thing to know is this. Carthage is gone. Rome is now allowed to expand. They say, hey, now we have the entire area of North Africa. We can control trade in that area. Trade is money. And we'll take a look at how Rome is going to go from this point to expanding into a huge empire. But show me those notes. Make sure you do it today. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. And I'll see you next class.